So we need to discuss a very critical subject, which is a bit squeamish, but when the elephant is in the room, you got to deal with the elephant. The truth is, the subject should be discussed, and that is the correct approach to sex, to intimacy. And I've written Kabbalah Marital Intimacy, which is based on literally the Kabbalah, Reishis Chachma, one of the primary books. And I have Kabbalah Love. And to make a long story short, there are three issues that need to be understood. The first issue is that everything that is positive is also negative. For example, power. Power is energy. Energy is a force. It could be used in any direction. A knife is a good example. It could be used to eat. It could be used to kill. Nuclear energy could be used for anything, positive, negative. The same thing is with the basically sex can be used to create love and unity. It can be used, of course, for the greatest thing, create children, or it can be abused and used in a way that someone feels powerful in a relationship. And that's really the challenge of life in general, which is, are we about love? Are we about giving? Or are we about taking? Or are we about kind of power, which power always involves demeaning someone else? So it's obvious that God created sex for the reason that you can't exactly expect people to be altruistic. Um, in fact, based on the current statistics, um, the those nations that are so into it actually don't have that much of it, and in fact are not having enough children to replace themselves. They're going to die out. The only two populations that have enough children to replace themselves are the Orthodox Jews and evangelical Christians. Everyone else, even Islam, once they hit the pill, they stop having the children. So it's an interesting phenomena that unless we get this right, unless we know what sex is about, we use it in the right way, just like a nuclear bomb, you are going to basically die. It's just that simple. And there are many countries in Europe that have hit the point of no return. It's weird to think about it, but kind of statistically, I don't know the numbers, whether it's in 80 years, those countries won't exist anymore. So let's deal with the issue properly. And first and foremost, there is something called right and wrong. Now, it's well known, it's brought down in the Talmud that the difference between good and evil is always in two things. Good is moral and has order. Evil is all about perversion and it has no order to it. And you see that very, very clearly. In the religious community, we don't have sex before marriage. And even in marriage, sex is highly regulated, at least in religious Jews. It's, there are many things that you can read about this and learn about it, but it's highly regulated. And that leads to a healthy relationship. In fact, ironically, at the Kinsey studies in the early 1940s, Orthodox men had the most, actually, I guess the women as well, had the most sex of any other group. So it doesn't lower kind of relationships. In fact, it enhances relationships. Um, when people just are frivolous about things, then it becomes cheap. It doesn't become special, so nobody even wants it. Who wants to buy a cheap earring? So the point is that relationships have to be seen as a holy thing, and that's really the whole difference between everything really in life. If you're approaching life from a perspective of holiness, that we're chosen by God to do good things, and these are the good things to do. Example, charity. So money is holy because money is charity. Or you see it in the other way, it's about ego and selfish and demeaning someone else. So the same thing is that, sex in the right context is about a relationship, it's about love, it's about giving, it's about creating. the holiest thing in the universe. If it's in the wrong context, it's not good. And it's pretty clear that a person today has to be very, very careful what they see, what they take in. We're creatures. It says clearly, everyday Jews say in the Shema, "Lo yisosuru achrei levavchem v'achrei einechem asher atam zeinim achreihem." Do not lust after basically the desires of the heart and what you see. In other words, what you see is automatically going to create a desire. And so it's like an addict, I know an addict, they call people that get off cocaine 1%, only 1% get off it. So he just saw on television once, he said he had to, half hour, he had to calm down, he was going ballistic. Just the sight. So we're in a time of freedom in society, and that freedom actually is misplaced. It used to be that you couldn't buy this stuff, and now it's just available, for a child. It's horrific. It's a dereliction of duty, that's for sure. There's no way any normal society would ever do this. But I think it's based on this notion of freedom, and it's being taken advantage, of course, by perverts and people that are making money. And bottom line is that it has a very powerful effect, and a person must decide, who are you? Are you a good person? Are you a holy person? Or are you a pervert? And that's really the bottom line.